It's 5 minutes.
We're going to go ahead and call this council meeting, special call meeting to order, if the city clerk will take row.
Miss Little? Miss Little?
Yes.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Miss Green?
Yes.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda we have is to discuss potential candidates for the vacancy seat that's on council at this time. We do have some rules. There will be 5 minutes to speak. You'll get one time to speak, and there will be no rebuttals. I think council has some questions that they'll give the candidates. Willie, do we have a mic?
Yes.
Okay, who's the first one up?
Well, I want to do something first here so that our online knows what's actually going on. We want this to be pretty informal, and so relax, everybody. When you came in, you got some questions that you can carry up to the podium with you. This is what we want you to kind of hit on, tell us, and try and answer these as best as possible. But and then if you will leave your name and contact on the back of that sheet, and before you leave here, if you were one that spoke and is interested, if you could just leave it here for us, we'd appreciate it. But we just wanted to know some background and experience. Number one is what inspired you to apply for the position? What experience do you have working in government, public service, or with local organizations? What qualifications or skills make you the best candidate for the role? How have you demonstrated leadership in your professional or personal life? What do you see as the biggest challenges facing our community right now? What are the top 3 priorities you would address as a city council member? And in closing, what is your long-term vision for the city? And is there anything else that you'd like us to know about you? So you'll just carry this up here to the podium when we call on you and try your best to answer that within 5 minutes, okay?
Are you first, Eric?
Eric?
Yes. Billy handed me the microphone. So, by default, I'm first. Is this working? Okay. All right, first of all, I want to say thanks to the council for holding this interview process, because I know the statute doesn't require you to do that. You can select somebody, and so I think that it speaks highly that you're providing this for an opportunity for anybody that's interested. In preparing for tonight, I kind of made some notes, thought I might make a statement, but I'm going to try to answer all your questions in order. Just a little bit about me. I think everybody up here knows that I'm Eric Edwards. I guess I should have said that first. But as to what inspired me to apply for this position, well, just looking around, other than yourselves, I'm the only person that sought this position by campaigning the last cycle. And I ran at that time, and I'm here today, not for any political aspirations, not for power, prestige, or any personal benefit. I wanted to serve, and I want to serve. I'm not generally a person that seeks a lot of recognition, and that may seem strange for a lawyer, but I've supported causes in our city, both financially and as volunteer, for the 27 years that I've lived here. But I've done that more behind the scenes, and I hope that if I could be on the council, I could continue to do good and more good from a different viewpoint. As related to experience in government and other organizations, I've served on the board of OPAC for over 15 years. For over half of that, I've been the chairman of that board. I've served on a city board, the Board of Adjustments currently, so I have had some KOC training. Since not being elected, I accepted the position to be on a board of a nonprofit that provides housing and food assistance to homeless individuals. So it's always been my, passion to assist those that are less fortunate. Qualifications, Of course, I do have that history of being on other boards and having some history in the city government, but my education, I believe, and training in 27 years as an attorney has created a skill set which I think could be beneficial to the council. And some of those skills would include analytical skills, problem solving, resolution seeking, and maybe most importantly, negotiation, mediation, and know when to switch to mitigation, right? And so, but also part of that training is the ability to maintain decorum and professionalism when faced with adversarial conflicts. I think we need a lot more of that, not just here, but in our society. As far as demonstration of leadership and professional personal life, I have maintained a private business here since 2001. It's varied in size. I had one time several attorneys working for me, and I decided I liked working by myself better. But I've maintained a business consistently for nearly 25 years. Biggest challenges facing our community right now. You know, 3 or 4 months ago, if you'd asked me that, my answer might have been different. But today, I would say one of the biggest things is, as an umbrella, is a lack of public trust with us as a government. And that includes accountability, transparency, and there's a lot of things that fall underneath that. But one of the other biggest challenges, I think, would be budget management, elimination of waste, and trying to focus the expenditure of our money on safety and services that are necessary. Kind of odd, this question, what 3 top priorities? I looked back at an interview with the newspaper, as I was asked that question before. And I think that remains the same. Some of the priorities I would address would be affordable housing. And how can the council do that? I think it's through passing legislation to speed up and make it easier for people to come in here and build and provide for our citizens. Economic growth, I know everybody says that, but that encompasses a lot of things. I think it needs to start, though, with obtaining money, grants, to train a workforce. Start with the youth, to train those youth, because you can't attract businesses if you don't have the workers to provide them. And if you don't, they'll leave, and then they let other people know we left because we couldn't get the workers. So I think that's just a seed that we need to work on to sustain economic growth. And the last thing would be improve services for the disabled and for the elderly, which includes, I know one of your passions, Mr. Benj, is infrastructure, sidewalks, parking lots, streets, because those disabled people and elderly, they need access in order to be included. And it's important with an aging society. Long-term vision for the city. Well, I would say that vision, hopefully I'm not running too far afield of time, but my vision would be it needs to start with the council, because I would not want to be a councilman that's against you or a part of a faction. It's us against them. I want to be part of a council that works together as one for the betterment of our community. What I see as a vision is to restore London to be a pillar of peace and of prosperity. I want London to be the envy of every city in our region. If you share that vision, I believe I'm the right choice for this position. And finally, is there anything else? I want to say this. I don't feel entitled to be appointed, because some people will say, oh, you should get it. You were there right in the... I don't feel entitled, and I'm not sure anybody is entitled to an appointment, because these are elected positions. But I do want to point out, and I do believe, that the voices of nearly 1,000 people who felt I was qualified for this position does deserve consideration before you make your final decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
Okay, who would be next?
My name is Heather Dyke, for those of you who don't know me, which is probably a lot of you. I have a very well-recognized last name, but I am generally recognized as Harold's wife or JJ's mom.
Excuse me, you press the
Is that on?
press the button. Should be green.
Now in green. Okay, let me try that again. My name is Heather Dyke. I am, like I said, I have a very well-recognized last name, but not necessarily my first. I'm generally recognized as Harold's wife or JJ's mom. My daughter was Laurel County Homecoming's teen and miss. My husband has worked for the Commonwealth Attorney forever, it seems like. But his family has been here for, I don't know, we were talking about it earlier, and I think we're going up on 2 centuries now. But, you know, the cemetery, the amphitheater, that's his family. And they are mine by adoption. But I am not from around here. I'm not from anywhere around here. I'm from the complete other side of the country. What that does for me, for better or worse, is probably makes my perspective a little bit different than most everybody else's around here, because it's not the same over there. But as far as what inspired me to apply for this position, I would say friends and family. My husband and I frequently talk politics from little to big, and I had a number of people ask me if I had considered it, so he and I had already been talking about it. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll come tell you. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that I had something of value to bring. But I did not run. I am not a politician. That is not my personality. I would be lying if I said I didn't have some sharp edges, which is generally not appreciated when it comes to politics. But I will be honest with you about anything you ask me. If you ask me a question, be ready for my honest answer, because that's what I'll give you. Sometimes I'll warn you, sometimes I won't. With regard to experience, I've not worked in government. I have actually spent the last 25 years at home with my kids, and I have 4. They are 6 years apart, so they were all right on top of each other. I have 3 of them in college and 1 about to graduate from high school. I educated them at home, so that has been a big part of what I have done. That's my professional background. I also have served on the Laurel County Life Centers Board for roughly 10 years. And Harold and I served on the Playground Theaters Board from beginning to end, and it existed for about 5.5 years. And I also serve on the Homecoming Board. My educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in economics. Take that for what it's worth. And I have my JD. I do not have a law, I do have a law degree. I do not have a law license because I graduated law school 8.5 months pregnant with my very first baby girl, and decided that my time was better spent investing in them than the bar. So here I am. I have analytical brain. I love to spin the ball and look at all the sides and figure out where all of the strings connect. You can ask my kids, they will tell me one of the most frustrating things about me is I will always tell them, okay, well, what does this look like from the other person's perspective? Which they get very frustrated because they just want me to jump in and take their side. I'm frequently Switzerland. I like to hear all the sides. I'm not going to just jump from one to the other without getting all of the information. Demonstrated leadership in my professional and personal life. Like I said, I have 4 kids that I educated at home, and I have served on a number of boards and different offices, treasurer, secretary, vice president. I avoid the president's spot because I prefer to stand in the back and watch and observe, and VP's close enough, It gives me the opportunity every once in a while to step up and do that if I need to, but it gives me the opportunity when I stay out of that spot to be able to fill in the gaps. And that is a big part of who I am. I am a gap filler. I'm also, I would call myself an editor. I tend to see crooked lines and want to straighten them. The biggest challenge that I see, I would agree with Mr. Edwards, that right now we have a crisis of confidence. We have some trust issues. There does need to be accountability. The community needs to see that. They need to see that their government's being held accountable and that they're holding each other and itself accountable. I think part of that comes down to communication and PR and how that information is presented, to make sure it's presented with clarity. Some of this stuff is a little confusing and hard to wrap your brain around if you don't really understand some of the systemic stuff, and I think that's important to make that part of the explanation. As far as the top 3 priorities, I don't know. I'd have to really, really think about that. Like I said, clarity and communication is a big deal for me. I agree also about the infrastructure. Gotta tell you, my sidewalk right now, our road is wonderful, but we have about a 6-inch drop to the sidewalk, which is a little risky sometimes. I fell off of it the other day. Honestly, I'm not sure that I have enough information to say these are my top priorities. I'd want to ask some questions, I think, before I really picked 3. My long-term vision, I think, definitely is investing in the future. Obviously, economically, we can't grow if we're not growing in that sense. But I also think it's really important that we look at our kids. I'm a mom. So it's important, I think, that we look not just for things that our kids can attend, but things that they can be involved with, stuff that they can go do, stuff that's not cost prohibitive. Because for a lot of our citizens, that's a big deal. It's hard. We have one income and 4 kids. So in spite of the fact that my husband's an attorney, we still have struggled sometimes, and there have been things we've had to tell our kids no, because it was just cost prohibitive. And I think that there's a lot of kids out there that they need activities to keep them out of trouble. And there's not a lot of that right now if they can't pay for it. I would love to see a center for the arts around here. London has a lot of stages, but most of them are designed for music performance, and that's about it. And if you've never been involved in theater or dance, it's easy to think, oh, well, a stage is a stage. A stage is not a stage. They require different things, and I would love to see something like that be brought here. Other than that, I can't think of anything in particular, but that's me, and I'm sure I went over the time because you'll notice I'm a talker.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else tonight?
Can I get your information?
Your name and phone number. Here you go.
Is there anybody else tonight that would like to speak to council? All right, council, the next thing you had on the agenda was possible motion to fill the position. Are you going to move on that tonight?
No, I think that we need to wait until Friday. I would like to tell the people watching, so that there's complete transparency, is that there was people that could not be here tonight because they already had plans, and this was short notice. So we have received several messages and letters from people that has shown interest. So all that will be taken into consideration, and what I would tell the public is, if you're watching and this is something that you think you'd be interested in, you have until Friday to reach out to us, and I think that we all can be found, email, social media, phone call. So you have until then, but we'll do that on Friday, I think.
And I will add, they could have more time than that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no set. But no guarantee something's gonna happen on Friday.
Okay.
Just an opportunity.
Okay, so just need a motion to adjourn.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
If you allow other people who have not been here to apply, how will the public know of their names?
The
Are they
public
going to
is-
speak on Friday is, I guess, the question.
Well, the public isn't voting on them.
No, but you talked about transparency. I
Right.
thought the public should know who they are. But if you don't, that's fine.
I mean, we could do that on Friday if that's what you want, is for us to go over a list.
Maybe them come in Friday and that they speak, the people that,
It's not on the agenda, but,
I mean, you have time
That's okay with
to
that.
adjust the
That's true.
agenda. We have 24 hours to do that.
I don't mind adding that onto the agenda if somebody else wants to
Okay.
speak on Friday. I'd like for anybody to.
Absolutely.
I do know that this is a relatively
Short
short
notice,
notice and people are gone. There are people.
Do you want us to add that to the
people that
agenda?
Work, have obligations.
Joseph,
Yes.
what do you think?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm in favor of that.
Just need a motion to adjourn.
Well,
Can I ask a question, just the council in general?
Yes.
The candidates, my name is Sherry Rudder Smith, and I have a question regarding the candidates that you guys are going to interview. Is there some possibility that you guys can go over with them what exactly the Constitution that they are swearing to uphold actually says? Has that ever been discussed by anyone that has implied that they would be interested in representing the public?
I don't know that we've done that ahead of time. We get KLC training that goes
Does
over.
KLC training address the First Amendment?
Well, not really.
So,
Some,
So you're upholding, you're swearing to an oath that you don't know what it is.
right.
Is that the situation?
This isn't really on the agenda, and this is special called, so
I-
we need to adjourn the meeting. It's a special called meeting.
One question.
I make a motion.
I think, from what I've read of all the statutes and everything, this matter is in the hands of the council, not in the hands of the mayor or the city attorney. So they should be totally removed from this process, I feel. Whatever their wants, desires, thoughts are, it's not important because they're a separate body, just like the Supreme Court, the president, and the legislation. This should be handled just by the council without any influence from the executive branch. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I don't believe I am.
I believe you're right, and I have felt personally no pressure from his office for
Wow.
any of this. We decided to do this
The public
ourselves.
as a whole
Conduct our
feels that
meetings.
the mayor influences a lot of things that go on.
Well, I don't care to speak up and say,
This is
they've been
Erica.
so advised of the statute. They understand what their responsibility is and what,
Oh, I'm sure
The-
they do.
right.
I just don't know if the mayor and the.
I
city
can
attorney-
assume that he's been so advised as well.
I hope all the power of this lies with the council.
It
Yes,
does,
it
by
does.
statute.
Statute's pretty clear about it. Conrad's exactly correct, and I know the law.
And yet you inserted yourself, so.
I did.
That's my concern.
I did, because I wanted this.
Okay, we need to adjourn this meeting. I got a motion. Can I get a second?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Can I do a roll call?
Ms. Little?
I second the motion to adjourn.
all right, do that.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Bench?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get Holly?